Ready, boys. Yeah, it's done. You lot are done. You lot have done your thing. Well done.
I hear it.
Let's lock in, bro. Let's lock in.
Who you playing?
The London, they got Leeds. Tottenham got Everton. Yeah, both at home. The London relegation battles come down to the final day of the season because both of them are fucking you. But it's Mayo.
But it's here. It's here.
Mayo down there.
Stevo, how are you feeling? Boys, shook.
You good there?
Fucking shook, bruv. I ain't gonna lie to you. But listen, Spurs gave us a chance. Thank you, Chelsea. Gave us a chance. It's still in their hands, really. But I don't know. I just feel with you lot winning, I think if everyone can do the juju and the gins and the OBR, all of that on Spurs for me, please, man. And my dad, I'll be ever so grateful, man. But at the end of the day, it has been over 38 games. We haven't done good enough in the first half of the season, but it was a different manager. Nuno's come in, he's put us in a sort of a top 6 sort of form. So I hope that you guys and the world and the gods and everyone can appreciate that. Come on, man. Like, come on, it's West Ham. We're all supporting West Ham.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So if you're a Londoner, it's in your best interest for West Ham to survive this as well, by the way, because it's going to cost the taxpayer money.
You mentioned juju.
Yeah.
Opium. Don't ask me how I know. But a lot of these things require sacrifice. The sacrificial lamb. What are you willing to sacrifice?
Is it item or person? Does it have to be item or person?
Can't be Lumos. Can't be Lumos.
What are you going to sacrifice? Tell me.
Where's my Bible?
This is how much I want. You ready for this? And if you know me, you will know.
Jehovah Jireh.
I'm scared of what he's gonna say.
Let me get my Bible.
With no shirt on, he means this.
Yeah.
This is real.
So,
Share some money or something like that.
So I've got a friend who I love. I love them. I truly love them. Without him, I wouldn't be here. I would sacrifice Pablo. Okay. Yeah.
You know what's bad?
I'm telling you, hey, crowd.
You look so
crowd. Yeah.
I would you
Crowd.
like
that.
Yeah,
Like that.
you're mad. You're mad.
Guy, he's playing the season votes.
Top 6 4. Top 6 4.
Top 6.
He's moving like Sabu.
Yeah, boys, I'm scared.
We need
I'm
to
scared.
go
But
down.
whatever happens, I want to still be on this show. Because I understand having a championship guy on the show, it's not the greatest, but I do feel I bring some sort of balance. So I'm a neutral. I don't support any of your lot's teams. So when I'm talking from someone that's just watched. I just hope my team stays.
You got the better
League,
players,
man.
so we do need you to go down.
Yeah.
Sorry, because the
You want to
players.
buy our players?
There's so many great.
I hear
Jared
it.
Bowen's
I
linked
hear
to
it.
teams.
I hear
You
it.
got Diop linked, Fernandez linked.
I still
They
think
got some
they get
players.
I still think
Spurs
they
have
get
got nothing nobody wants. What does Spurs have that? Who do you want?
Tell. No, I don't want to tell.
What do you want for Spurs?
I'll tell you that.
Great.
Archie
Gray. Van de Ven, maybe?
Can you imagine St. Tottenham's Day? Yeah, starting the opening day of the season. Because no matter what, we're just above them. They're a division below. Yeah, we get to celebrate on the first day and the last day. These boys need to go.
Would you miss them though? They're
No
not
way. Do you know what it is? Shall I tell you? There's not a boys. Do you know what it is? As neutral, I'm gonna sell it to you why they need to go.
Steve-O's going to be working with them next season.
I do need stuff.
The next guy.
Listen, but all
Are you
jokes
not
aside,
listening for real?
no, let me sell this to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Steve-O, yeah, facts.
we won the league and it was quite difficult, wasn't it? We had 2 fixtures that got us back into gear. Yeah, they were laughing at the all let it all work out tune. That tune went platinum on 2 weekends. Yeah, this is guaranteed now. When we play Tottenham, it's gone back to the 90s. Batter them, boy. It don't matter. We don't even think of them no more.
Yeah.
If they're gone, potentially, that's our 6 points guaranteed gone. They get me? Don't get too. It's going to be like Middlesbrough something else now. Who will probably move to, but we need to speak about something as well.
Mm.
I think
This
it's harsh.
is hard. let's speak about it first. Let's speak about it first. Southampton have been expelled from the playoffs with Middlesbrough to battle Hull. Yeah? Middlesbrough are now back in the playoffs after losing 2-1 to Southampton. These men were spying. They were spying. They were spying. I don't have all the information. I know one of the teams they spied on was Oxford away. They went to the game and lost.
They lost.
Yeah,
They didn't win anything.
They spied and lost.
They used that as evidence.
Listen,
In the court.
yeah, literally.
They said we spied and lost, so it doesn't help us. So don't
Those three games we've done it. They didn't win anything.
But you know what's mad? That's like Mudryk coming out and saying, yes, I was on steroids, but I was really bad. Let me stay.
Do you know what's also bad? There's also
They
bad
were
to it as
celebrating.
well.
Remember, they were scoring and then going up to other players and doing that. They're
So
celebrating.
that as well. Plus, the players are taking legal action against Southampton. You know,
They should.
they're taking legal. Of how you play the whole season, get playoffs,
And
and,
then
you lose out because a man's spying from your club.
They should all want to go.
You lot know I'm a big boy, yeah? So imagine
Clearly.
Sherlock. But the guy, yeah, the tree that he was hiding
He was not
behind.
small. It was thinner than his.
This, bro. Me with this mic. Bro. Man was saying like this. Bro, imagine me with this mic. You know, man.
Hey, Steve-O, I'm not recording you, I promise.
With the company card. He used the company card as well. Idiot.
Hey, he ducked through like a golf course. He tried to cut out.
I couldn't believe it.
How would they how did they get figured out? Do we know any of this? In the sense that how do you you could just say no, like we all film
Brother, he used the company card.
Use the company card. To do what?
To go, he went to the coffee shop down the sea. He's been there doing this one. Yeah. Then he's gone coffee shop next to the thing. Use the company card, linked to the club. Not even the on Monzo. It's the thing. So when they found it and they turned Southampton FC.
Bro, then he ran down the
violated.
golf course. You're not understanding. That same man that can't hide behind the tree, one suspect, clear as day, he's running.
Listen, they've been back. I think the reason why people kind of didn't point it out is
1664, yeah. Bataille Supreme since 1664.
it's because like things happen now. It's like let's see where they end up. You get me? If there's a champion, a push for promotion, then we'll snitch.
I think names should be named. Like you said about the guy doing that. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Is Harley? Is it? I can't remember. It's Roy Keane's son-in-law. Yeah, it's Roy Keane's son-in-law. And at the time he done it, I remember them saying, if Roy Keane wouldn't be happy with that, I bet he's definitely not happy with that because that is a big custard pie. If you're doing that to players at the end of the game and then you get kicked out
when they
of it.
scored.
Taylor Hall was finished. Taylor Hall was
He's a good
finished.
player as well, really good player.
Do you know I genuinely thought he was doing the Trossard thing?
No, so did I. Now that you're saying that, oh God, I thought you were doing Trossard doing this.
No, but he ran. When he was running to celebrate, he ran out
Yeah,
at you.
but I understand that, but genuinely, when I first saw it, I'm thinking he's doing this, doing the Trossard thing. But he's snitching himself. So he's just like the younger generation on TikTok, just snitching.
Bro, he's working. Hey, let's not do that.
He's doing the madness.
Don't rap, bro.
But boys, today's episode is brought to you in partnership with Toshi, supporting our Last Man Standing series throughout the World Cup. 18 plus only. Please gamble responsibly.
Remember,
So, do we want West Ham to win?
Yes.
Yeah. We want West Ham to stay up with good energy.
Yes.
I think the storyline is just too perfect.
Yeah.
So Spurs going down, I think the storyline is too much.
Good luck.
Okay, let's remember to comment below, share, hype, like, subscribe. I want to thank Joseph Champion.
Very much. Thank you very much.
Round of applause. Round of applause. Round of applause. You know,
Raya's not even in the top 5, top 6.
Van Dijk is the best centre-back to ever walk the surface of this planet.
I think we watch it for sports. Thiago hasn't scored 20 plus goals. I feel like there may be some fake goals in there.
Today, I've got all these football fans here today to decide the big one. the Premier League Team of the Season.
We've got 4 rows here, and each row will represent a different player. Whoever the fans think they want to vote for, they'll stand in their row. We'll then spend some time debating who's right and who's wrong, and see if anybody changes their mind. The row with the most people, or the person who makes the best arguments, will decide who gets into our Team of the Season.
Our first one kicking us off is goalkeepers. If you think that Robin Rose is the Premier League Team of the Season goalkeeper, go into this column. If you think it is Raya, go into this column. Donnarumma, this column. And last but definitely not least, Lamans in that column. Guys, vote your feet.
I give it to him.
All right, without further ado, T-Talks, my friend, welcome. Just because you're on the column on your own, you go into this one. Chat to me about Donnarumma before the Raya gang get onto you.
Yeah, I think Donnarumma is 80% of the reason why City are even in this title race in the first place. You look at the stats, backing this up. He's top all the Premier League keepers in terms of goals prevented. He has single-handedly kept them in so many moments. Even yesterday, where they were doing a bit of nonsense against Everton, he has still kept them in that race. I have him over Raya because I feel like, yes, I respect Raya's thing in the sense of he's got 3 Golden Gloves in a row now. He's made loads of stellar saves, which make incredible acrobatic saves. But I think what goes under the radar is potentially how much work that defence does in front of him, and I feel like he bags a lot of credit for that. Donnarumma is doing a lot more of a shift.
Some stories are so great, they stay with you forever.
For his team than I personally believe Raya is.
Okay, one of the Raya defenders, please. Take the mic.
I'll go quickly. As a complete neutral in this debate, the only thing I say is you mentioned the game yesterday. Is it not Donnarumma's complete inability to come and claim crosses that led to Everton's second goal?
Yeah. I think he has weaknesses there. What he offers Man City in shot stopping completely outweighs all the weaknesses that I think I've seen from him this season. Without his shot stopping ability, there's not even a race. Arsenal have already wrapped up the title, in my personal opinion. I know people like Shirky get the plaudits because of his moments of magic, obviously Haaland bagging the goals. Really got under the radar how vital Donnarumma has been to this City title charge.
I think that's completely fair. I'd love to know the numbers in terms of how many goals Donnarumma's come out and actually through his up with the crosses in the corners where he is not very strong.
So that I was mentioning earlier was goals prevented, right? So just looking at average how many. He tops it with, I think it's around 4.3. Raya's not even in the top 5, top 6. Usually when you're looking at that stat, you're thinking about teams who probably have less possession. They're probably conceding a lot more shots as well. So you're not really expecting a keeper in a high possession side to be that high. But he is.
I think it's between the two. I think, just personally, I feel like Raya's a little bit more consistent.
All right, maybe before we get into some more Raya stuff, let's chat to the guys on the wing. Lola, talk to me about your choice.
So this is a bit more of a theoretical choice than a statistical one, but I would go with Robin Ruffs because my theory is he's working with a much less high-quality unit in front of him than David Raya is. David Raya faces far fewer shots per game than Robin Ruffs, and what Ruffs has done for Sunderland in terms of that rock-solid start to the season and getting them well clear of relegation, I think is a bigger achievement than Raya's many, many clean sheets in front of a very solid and compact Arsenal team. So I think Russ is a huge reason why Sunderland is so comfortably staying in the Premier League.
It was the Lamans crew.
Originally I was going to go with Raya, but then I was thinking about how at the start of the season everyone was saying to me, Man United would be lucky to finish top half.
You had that here, exactly in the same room.
Exactly here. Everyone was like, United 8th, maybe at a push. And then I remember, Le Mans has come in. Amaran's first 2 back-to-back wins was Le Mans' first and second game. It took Amaran a year to win back-to-back games. Le Mans comes in, we win back-to-back games. Then I saw a stat the other week that Le Mans has prevented the most XG since coming into the Premier League, because he came game week 8. Since game week 8, no one's prevented more XG than Le Mans. Look at how many mistakes Onana made. Look at how many mistakes Bayindir made. The first game of the season, we probably could have drew to Arsenal if it wasn't for Bayindir. Le Mans has come in, he's made 1 mistake in about 20-something games, and that was against Liverpool last week, unfortunately. But other than that, he has been faultless. Absolutely faultless. There was an Everton game where they had about 10, 11 corners. We saw them all standing around Le Mans, and he dealt with every single corner. Onana would have collapsed. Bayindir would have collapsed. We would not have won that Everton game. even the game against Brentford, which I don't even think we deserved to win the other week. And I just think where we were last season, and maybe it's because Onana's so bad that Le Mans looks so much better, but most XG prevented has a lot more to do than Donnarumma and VAR. And the way that Man United third, Le Mans is a huge part of that.
Let me hear one more from one of the Ride crew. You leave the Arsenal fan, and you can jump in, hit that mic, you guys can jump in together.
The only thing I was going to say, I mean, we'll probably even talk about it anyways, but a lot of people are saying that maybe he might not have a lot to do, or maybe he's not as important to the team as a lot of other people. At least me personally, I feel like it's much more difficult to maybe not really be relied upon for 80, 90 minutes. And then the one time that you are needed, he makes crucial saves. When you're talking about big moments in the title race, with all due respect to everyone else here, we're probably the only person other than maybe a few other teams that are actually competing for something like the Premier League, which is the biggest thing possible. When you compare with the players that we had before the goalkeeper, such as Ramsdale, we weren't actually able to be as solid as a unit as Raya. He lets us play higher up the pitch. When it comes to, as Henry mentioned, with the cross claim, he's the best in the world. I've been saying it for years. With his size as well, by the way, he's about 6 foot, 6'1".
He is 6 foot.
He's very small, and really and truly, the only way he conceives goals is getting dunked by like 40-yard bangers. So when you look at the quality that he brings into this side, as you said, third Golden Glove in a row, I think only third of the goalkeeper in the history of the Premier League to do that. You say that he's not really that important for Arsenal, but he's the reason why we're able to dominate games, dominate possession, and actually play the football that we do.
I wouldn't say that he's not important to Arsenal, because especially with how you guys like to play, playing out from the back, he's definitely got that over Donnarumma. But I have Donnarumma to City, his importance over Raya's importance, and the factor for that is, like was mentioned earlier, what you have in front of Raya. It's not me saying that I think Raya's overrated or I don't think he deserves the flowers he gets, because I've watched him make some unfathomable saves. When I'm looking at the goalkeeper of the season, I think I'm looking at the keeper who I think has done more to keep his side at or above expectations, and for me, that's Donnarumma.
I think if you're saying team of the season, I'd personally be going from game week 1 to 38. And from game week 1 away at Old Trafford, he got us that win. I can go through so many games this season, even Sunderland, the way we made big moments and big saves, Aston Villa, every single game where the Arsenal have lost or Arsenal have maybe dropped points in, you can't not say that Raya's done his job for the most part. When you speak about, for example, Donnarumma, who obviously came in maybe a little bit later on, you have to remember that James Trafford was the number one. And if he was that important, he probably would have been playing the cup final that Man City were in. When he came in for the Carabao Cup final against Southampton, the drop-off is so bad to the point where we've lost out on big games and trophies because of that.
Football inherently is about glory, right? It's about, a goalkeeper proving their influence to the team, going towards a title race and all sorts of things like that. And that's probably why the vast majority of you guys are offering Donnarumma and David Raya. And if we're being honest, they're the two best keepers in the league, comfortably. You mentioned expectations. Robin Rose is one of the best signings of the season, without a doubt. The majority of you guys would have said Sunderland would have gone down at the start of the season. They're comfortably where they are in the league because they've been performing very, very well. Robin Rose, not the best keeper on the list, but if you're talking about defining expectations and if you're talking about a keeper being important to a team, I think that's where I'm at. Yeah, can't knock it.
Ollie, you took Mike. Any final points? Shot stopping is obviously the most important keeper role, and I don't think Raya is the best in the league at that. But what Raya offers in terms of in the build-up and just control, but he makes Arsenal so much better as a team. And you look at some of the best keepers of the last 10 years, someone like Ederson in particular, who was obviously a really good shot stopper and could come up with big moments. But what made him so elite was he made Man City so much more cohesive as a team. They could rely on him so much when they had the ball. And Raya, the way he could break a press and on the ball, he's not much worse than Saliba and Gabriel, who are outfield players. And you see that when I honestly think Saliba and Gabriel are pretty limited when it comes to passing. They're not the best in the Prem. But Raya just gives them that option of just being able to punch through a line that Arsenal wouldn't have otherwise. So I think he's the best. Okay, is anyone going to change their minds, going to stick to where they are? Raya, you're our goalkeeper of the season. Just before we move on to our next debate, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know I ask for it all the time. To be quite honest, it just makes making these videos even easier to do. It's easy to convince footballers. It's easy to get other cool people on as well. So please go down to the subscribe button. We're nearly at 100,000 subscribers. I'll greatly appreciate it. And who knows, maybe Lionel Messi will be the next guest. Let's move on to our right centre-back. We're going to kick things off with Tarkowski, Saliba, Van Heck and Kuzanov. Make your options.
I've had times, but I have had so many rainbows. And the thing to do, it seems to me, is to prepare yourself so that you can be a rainbow in somebody else's kingdom. see a rainbow in those movies.
A man who constantly chases sexual stimulation is avoiding his real life. He wants success, but every time things start to...
I didn't realise we kept Tarkowski in there. So nobody's going to Tarkowski. Sorry, fella. A lot in the Saliba sector. I thought this one was going to be quite quick, so we might as well go to the defenders first. Kizanov. Yeah, I think that when you look at when he first came in at City and that massive mistake he made in his first game, and he did look a bit shaky, the recovery from there has been incredible. He's not been able to be shifted from the team. You look at them signing the likes of Mark Gay, of course, is a natural left centre-back, but John Stone's back to fitness, still can't get in the team. I just think he's been fantastic. He's quick. He's unbelievable defensively, great recovery, and yeah, considering his age, everything like that.
Why would you say he's better than Saliba?
Saliba's had a season that you'd expect from him. I think I maybe wasn't expecting Kusanov to be as good as he has. So purely on my expectations ahead of the season, I'd say that he's, exceeded them.
Matt, the Brighton fan, Van Hecker.
On the ball, there's not many, if any, better in the league. In a Brighton side that has been, we're what, 7th, 8th now, so I want to say under par this season. We have had runs of games 13 without a win. Even so, he's been by far our best player in that time. And there's a reason that he's been linked to these massive sides. Liverpool, for example, the latest to be in. For me, he's the most Man City coded player, centre back I've ever seen. I think the value he brings to any team with his ball play, and his progressive ability is something that not every centre back has off the ball. He's so valuable as well in terms of his duelling.
And then Saliba, go on then, Spurs fan.
I think sometimes with team of the season shouts, you can let narrative and storylines maybe get in the way of who has actually been the best. And I think that's why, to contradict the other way, I think that's why Kusanov is the closest because of what you were saying in terms of how he's turned his career around. But that mistake against Chelsea was amplified way too much. And I think there was always a sense that he would be a good defender for City. I don't think anybody would have thought that he'd be as important to City as he would be in a title race. I think over the last few games he has held Gahey's hand a little bit, but I think that narrative has kind of flipped in a way where Gahey, when he first went into City, was really good. He's had a couple of mistakes because he's the more experienced defender. When you look at a youngster alongside him playing the way that he does, that's why Kusanov probably gets those kind of shouts. So he has been worthy of it, but I do think sometimes you do just have to look at who is the best in that position. And we were talking before about one of the reasons why maybe Raya shouldn't be considered the goalkeeper of the season is because of the defence in front of him. And part of me thinks that Saliba has become a little bit underrated because of all the shouts that Gabriel has got. And Gabriel has been obviously super important for Arsenal, chipped in with a lot of goals. He's such a traditional old school body, kind of backs to the wall defender, never say die, a bit like what we saw with Terry, for example, at Chelsea. But Saliba, I think, has become underrated in that aspect as well, in terms of breaking the press. And I just think because Saliba's average performance is a 7.5 out of 10 every week, and Gabriel might have more games where he's a 10 out of 10 and more all action, that does make Saliba go under the radar a little bit. And I just think when you actually watch Arsenal every week, and I think Arsenal fans will probably agree, that Saliba's had a better season overall than Gabriel. Well, I think Kusanov is the closest shout, but sometimes I do think we let narrative and storylines and the arc of the player get in the way of who has actually been the best, and I'd say that is Saliba for me. Okay. Any final comments? Anyone jump in?
Saliba is basically a victim of his own high standards. I think because he's so good every season, that because he's been amazing every season, everyone expects something crazy. And I think he's been so good this season, it just doesn't stand out as much. Whereas Kusanov wasn't as good last season, I think it stands out more. And also with Kusanov, he didn't really start at the beginning of the season. It was Diaz and Guardiola. Saliba, bar injuries, has been there. Arsenal's clean sheet record is ridiculous, and he is better on the ball than Gabriel is important build-up. So yeah.
Saliba wins. Saliba's our right centre-back. Just before we move on to the next debate, guys, you might be sitting at home asking, how can I be involved? How can I be one of these fans here? Well, it's very simple. Head over to my social media, my Twitter, my Instagram, and give me a follow. I put out a message every month, every 2 weeks, that I'm doing a shoot in London or in a different location, and I need fans. You can then reply, and you could be here in the next video. We're moving on to our left centre-back now, and it's going to be Senesi, Van Dijk, Gabriel, and Mark Gahey as our final one over there. Guys, pick your options. And then we've got Mark Gahey. You know what? Let's jump over to Mark Gahey over here, but not get the Palace's fans' opinion.
I don't think he's actually lost with Manchester City in the league since joining, and obviously with Palace, their drop-off's been, no offence, but since they've lost Gahey, especially at the back, the drop-off has been insane. I just think, I know it contradicts yesterday from what happened, obviously the past mistake, but actually playing out from the back, I think he's an absolute joke. Defensively, he's rock solid. And like I say, just the impact since coming to City. I think someone said earlier that Donnarumma is the reason they're going for the title. I think that signing in January is really rounded City's defence up, made them a lot more solid. And I think that's why they're competing. Hopefully they win the league over Arsenal, but we'll see. Sorry, Willie. Sorry, mate.
I have to say, really quickly, you
Looking for something sporty, something family, or even something luxury.
It's American trio. Trina Fanta Saka Crack. It's American trio. America idea. Ina Enyama. It's America Fanta America Aze. Ina Nzama. Trina Fanta Saka Crack. It's American trio. America idea. Na Enyama. It's America Fanta America Aze. Ina Nzama. So what I just said was tree and fancy are quite similar. But if I was speaking tree, I would say like idea, which means thing, or enyama, which means things. But then adze is a thing, or nzama, which is things. Tree na fancy wasaka kara. Sa American tree, America idea na enyama. Sa America fanta, America adze na nzama. So what I just said was tree and fancy are quite similar. But if I was speaking tree, I would say like idea, which means thing, or enyama, which means things. But then adze is a thing, or nzama, which is things.
Why buy a brand new car?
You are in the Virgil van Dijk bit. Is that Gabriel, by the way?
No, this is Senesi. Okay, I'll move to Gabriel. I just want to get some my chest. I think with Van Dijk, he's been heavily overcriticized for me this season. He's at such an insanely high level. But since it's Virgil van Dijk, people don't actually understand what their levels of performing at.
I thought you were in Van Dijk.
I've said this plenty of times, and this is an opinion that I'm very happy to be attached to my name on social media. Van Dijk is the best centre-back to ever walk the surface of this planet. He is stupidly good. He plays football in two modes. He plays football in Virgil van Dijk mode, which is where everything looks easy breezy laid back. But Liverpool have been abysmal this season, and if Liverpool do manage to finish in the top five and get Champions League football, that is going to be a large part down to Van Dijk, and crucially, leads the league on all metrics for centre-back. He is the best centre-back in the league in the world of his time.
I don't want to get Indian great for centre back.
Different debate, yeah, different debate.
Whatever. We're talking about the greatest centre back of this season. Arsenal have the best defence in the league. Gabriel is arguably Arsenal's most important player this year. He's stepped up many times in big games, scored headers. Arsenal are going to most likely win the league without having an attacking player in the team this season. Their defence is the reason they're there. There's no debate here. They've conceded 26 goals all season. Van Dijk is captain of the Liverpool side that will go down as arguably one of the worst reigning champions of all time. And I'm a West Ham fan. We might get relegated, but I don't know how anyone can be having a debate about this. Mark Guehi's been an incredible centre-back. Van Dijk's done well in spells, had moments in spells, but it's not in spells, it's over a season. And Gabriel is the most important defender, arguably in the league.
Van Dijk has not been playing in a functional defensive unit. Canate had a really difficult first half of the season because of his personal difficulties. We've had perfect difficulty at the start of the season. We haven't had a fit right back for the whole season. It's not been Van Dijk's best season, but he's held the thing together. I can tell you that if Van Dijk got injured, Liverpool might even be in like a relegation battle. We've been that bad.
But that's not that doesn't matter. If we're in a relegation battle, it still doesn't make him the best centre back in the league. Like he's been playing in a dysfunctional system. That's fine. On ability, he might be the best in the league, but he hasn't been the best in the league this year.
When people look back on Van Dijk's career and does his big interviews on Premier League World when he's retired, they will talk about this season being a bigger achievement than even some of the titles he's won because of how terrible we've been set up and how badly coached we've been.
I think we watch different sports.
Quickly, one thing to add as well is I think one of the most important parts of that is how dysfunctional Liverpool's back line's been. I think this season Liverpool only had two good players, obviously Szoboszlai, who I'm sure we're going to talk about in a bit, and Van Dijk himself. He's had to have Szoboszlai shifted to that fringe winger, and Curtis Jones has even been success. Renato, who's been in and out of the team. Perkins, Robertson, in and out of the team. And you can't say that that's not an important point. If Van Dijk wasn't there, we'd be mid-table. I don't know about relegation fight. And I think a question that I have to pose to you, I think is important. I don't know if Gabriel was in Liverpool's team, if Liverpool would be in the top four.
But that's not the question.
No, but that's a good question to pose, to think about the impact.
Why is that?
Because everyone's been talking about how everyone's been talking about how good
The question is, who's been the best in the league?
Let me speak. Everyone's been talking about how good Saliba's been. Still, yes, he's very good, but his impact on Arsenal's defence is nowhere near Van Dijk's impact and how good Van Dijk is. If you slap Van Dijk in the Arsenal team, Arsenal would be a better side. Facts. If you put Gabriel in Liverpool's team, Liverpool possibly would not be in the top four.
I'm sorry, I take your point, but I still don't understand the relevance of that question. This isn't a hypothetical debate. This is who's been the most important centre-back for their team in the Premier League. You're moving goalposts to try and facilitate whatever argument this is. But they've conceded 26 goals. Let me come in on just a point. I feel like, let me just come in on this point. I feel like we're being a bit OTT. I stood here just because I wanted to give Van Dijk some credit. I feel like, similar to Willy's point, I feel like he's been definitely overly criticised. I don't think Van Dijk has had his best season. I think he's still been a really important player for us. He's definitely not, in his prime. He's kind of tailed up, as you would expect. I don't feel like necessarily you could probably compare it to Gabriel's season that he's had. He probably, I feel like you need to walk over to Gabriel. The thing is, I don't think there's a single football fan outside of Liverpool that would say that Van Dijk has had a better season than Gabriel. But Klopp fan, Chelsea fan, Brian fan, Fulham fan, Liverpool fan. Let's be complete.
Quickly, you change up Snessi. Do you want to just give a shout out to it?
No, it's kind of just that really. I still feel like it is just Gabriel, but no one stood over here for Tchaikovsky when he was the unexpected, and I don't think he's in the conversation. Whereas Senesi, to be fair, like you look at the run that Bournemouth have been on in the second half of the season, they sold basically their entire three-quarters of their defence last year. And everyone thought they were going to kind of have a bit of a drop off. Everyone thought that Bournemouth might be their classic thing, and they looked like they're going to push for Europe and then sort of fall away. They're like 15 games, I think, unbeaten in the Premier League, and only 6 points off Champions League football, and could still get it if Aston Villa go in the Europa League. There's a reason why he's linked with the size of clubs that he is. If he does well, it looks like he's going to leave in the summer. I know he's in the summer, obviously, yeah, but not. He's been linked with Chelsea, he's been linked with United, he's been linked with Liverpool, been pretty sure as well. He's incredible on the ball, like beating that man up. And like you say, like the way he breaks the line, Celeste does that really well as well. Again, I'm not just doing this just for like a bibble, and I think it is Gabriel, but I do think Senesi is far more worthy of a honourable mention than maybe what Tchaikovsky was. I think it's important to put him in the conversation, I think, for the impact that he has had. Good experience. He's almost won games for Bournemouth with his ability to kind of break lines and allow that attack to kind of do what it does. I just think he's far more worthy of a shout than some of the other like honourable mentions that he's picked up. Yeah, I still think it is Gabriel.
Gabriel, you're going to say that. On right back, we're going to go with Coyote here, Timber here, Reece James here, and of course, Mukiele on our final one. Okay.
We have Scott's needs a few legends. You can pick up these, and the £5 for closer to the 3 rounds. Let's get back to school.
The golf is always an endless pursuit of trying to figure the game out. I'm always close to it. Go,
do some Reece James defending, and then we'll go from there.
Reece James is the best right back in the world. For me, I know people always like to talk about injured, this, blah, 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 blah. But this year, he's had his best season in terms of fitness-wise. Obviously, the new magic one might have messed up a bit. But what he's done to kind of hold this Chelsea side's hand throughout this season, playing in different roles, by the way. So he's had to do a bit of overlapping this season. It's had to invert and play in the midfield this season. I've even watched Reece James push into the fast space next to the 10s this season. Defensively as well, I know people always like to talk about Timber defensively. There's nothing that I've watched Timber do this season defensively that I haven't seen Reece James. I don't see any reason why any of these right backs are above James.
How much do injuries affect your opinion?
I think injuries might stop him from becoming an all-timer. In the conversation where we're talking about the team of the season and the best right backs this season, with, in my opinion, who would be second?
Just a couple of questions for you.
Timber, him having a period of injury as well this season, I don't think that's enough to negate that, in my opinion.
I don't actually think my issue with him is maybe his injuries. It's actually how consistent he's been at right back. I think his main performances for me this season, especially against Arsenal, I think home and away as well.
No further questions.
Yeah, he's been incredible there. I think if we're talking about as an overall player, I think Richard's probably the best player here, for being honest. I think at right back, I think some of his most loudest, his best performances haven't even been as at right back, in my opinion. Even like Liverpool, when he had to step in at centre back, when I think there was a red card there, and he had a fantastic game there. He bossed it. I think as a player, he's fantastic. But maybe as a right back, it's like Coyote, Timber, and I've got him as well.
Mukiele, Let's do some Mukiele props. I would agree that I think Reece James has been the best player of all of them here, but it's the midfield thing. I think a lot of his games come midfield. I just think Mukiele has been so consistent for Sunderland, and their back four has changed quite a lot. He's played all across it as well. He's chipped in with goals and assists too. I think a lot of right backs have been really good this season. There's not much separating them. I think, the midfield thing for Reece James stops him. I think Timber's injury recently in the running is a hindrance. I honestly think that if Coyote didn't have a long throw, he wouldn't talk about him. I'm sure he's good. I think that adds to his stock so much. I've watched quite a lot of Coyote, and I think he's good. I don't think he's a good conversation with him in the season. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think Nunes is...
You're in Coyote.
No, I know, but Willie made a good point about Nunes. I think the way that Hess has kind of put the other day, he's been one of the best right backs in the world.
Who would pick Nunes if he was here? Put your hand up.
I'll lean towards it.
Not enough for me to change it.
When Ollie talks about Coyote and his long throws, he's right. That has elevated his stock in a sense, but also he's very good on the ball. Athletically, he's a bit of a freak of a profile. A lot of Brentford fans that watch him every single game, the way he gets up and down this season, he's far better technically than I think people give him credit for. And also, if you look at, again, the relative expectations of Brentford and the relative expectations of that transfer, he's been a match winner for them on a consistent basis to be able to propel them into a position that nobody thought that they were going to be in without Thomas Frank. If Nunes was here, I'd maybe lean towards him and how consistent he's been, but maybe is that more of a narrative thing in terms of how he's reinvented himself, how much does that play a part? But I think Coyote is a far better footballer than people give him credit for. Reece James is undoubtedly the best footballer here. Timber overall is the best defender, but I think, again, availability kind of hinders him. But he's more impactful in the attacking third than people give him credit for. But Coyote, as a match winner, in terms of relative expectations of Brentford, far better football than people give him credit for. That's why I would lean towards him.
Obviously, I know it's mainly based off of this season, but I think when you look at the context of Timber, especially when he's come to Arsenal, he came to Arsenal, got the ACL injury, was out for a whole year. Had Ben White and Tommy Hudson consistently just not available. Had to play over 50, 60 games last season, had to do the same again this season. And I think for me, he's not really dropped his standards. And I think even Arsenal fans, since Ben White's maybe come on, and obviously he's done a job, but not just been to the same level with Timber, we've actually not understood how important he's been to our defence.
This actually think it's been our tightest one so far, but by Coyote is winning it with 2 extra people. Moving on to our left back of the season, we're going to have Trippier, Nketiah, O'Reilly, and Lewis Hall. Yeah.